Your next weekly paper will be your first revision. One of my goals with the structure of my class is to let you experience what it's like to be a quote-unquote real writer, which means that you write a lot of garbage and ultimately only put effort into revising and editing the stuff with the most potential. So you'll be picking one of your 3 essays to put that effort into. I'm not saying 2/3 of the papers you've written this semester so far are garbage. Just the 2/3 of the writing most people do is not necessarily worth the time and effort required for revision. You'll notice the meme I used on the cover slide here is acknowledging that revision is probably the least engaging part of the writing process. It can feel like drudgery. But I hope we have learned and will learn techniques to make it a bit more fun. In the simplest terms for this revision, you will select one of the 3 papers you have written for this class. You will develop it, make it longer, and you will revise it, make it better. The goal is to take one paper and help it reach its full potential. Before we go any further, I'd like to clarify our terms here. What does revision mean to you? For many students, revision is editing and proofreading, making sure all your sentences have proper punctuation and grammar, checking for clarity of prose, that sort of thing. But that really isn't what revision is. Revision is about re-seeing, revisioning your project. Revision should give you a new perspective on your essay. It might mean honing or developing your themes, adding dialogue and snapshots. It might mean completely reorganizing the structure of your essay. It might mean starting and ending the paper differently. It might even mean starting over from scratch and trying again. Revision does not skim the surface of what you've already written. Revision often knocks down the walls and rebuilds from the foundation up. Yes, it's more work. Yes, it's frustrating work. And yes, it can yield really awesome results. Granted, sometimes you only revise to go back to the original. The writing process is like that sometimes. You might be wondering which paper to pick to revise. Earlier, I said to pick the paper with the most potential. You can interpret that in a couple ways. It could mean the paper that needs the most work of the 3 you've written. It could also mean the paper that you feel is the best and most worthy of developing into something longer and more perfect. A note on logistics. When you turn it in, please include the original version of the paper. I will make it possible to upload more than one file. This way, I won't have to go and hunt through old papers on Moodle to compare and contrast. Make it easy on me, and I'll go easier on you when I grade. Other logistics, the paper should be 4 to 5 pages in length with a badass title. It will be due on Sunday on Moodle by midnight. Please be sure both your original version and your revised version are clearly labeled, both in the document and in the file name. If you're struggling to find ways to expand your paper, let's talk. I'll ask you tons of questions and you'll realize there's a lot of details trapped inside your head just waiting to burst out. You can email me, call or text me, or meet with me on Zoom. Ask for help. That's what I'm here for. One thing to note about this assignment is how I'll be grading it. This is the evaluation criteria I will be using to grade your papers. Look at the point distribution. You'll notice that half of the total points go towards your revision efforts. The paper is 10 points in all. Revision and development get 5 of those points. This assignment is less about the final product and more about you embracing the challenge of making real changes to your paper and taking it to the next level, regardless of the potential risks involved. Let's take a peek at the pacing schedule for this week. Notice that you'll be participating in a peer review workshop forum. That's listed under Monday. You might need a little explanation about how that works, so let's look at it in more detail. For your peer review workshop, you will be assigned a workshop group in the workshop forum for this week. Please copy and paste the essay you want to revise into your group's thread in the workshop forum ASAP, ideally by Monday, but no later than Wednesday. You don't have to make any changes to the paper before you submit it to the workshop forum. You can turn in whatever you've already turned in. You should also plan to respond to your peers by Friday, so that they have time to incorporate your recommendations before the revision is due on Sunday. If you miss this forum, you miss it. There's no making it up. I've provided instructions for the peer review in the forum instructions, but one of the things you should keep in mind is the writer's toolbox that we've been working with. Our snapshots, thought shots, dialogue, and exploding a moment. I like to use the symbols of a little camera, a cloud, a bubble, and a bang as a shortcut when reviewing my own papers. And the cool thing is you can use emojis if you want. I have these available to copy and paste in the workshop instructions if you want to use them in the forum. Here is an example of a paper I used the writer's toolbox to revise. You can read the whole thing if you look under the Things to Read and Watch section of This Week on Moodle. If you look at this example, the first version on the left is significantly less developed. The version on the right only covers the first 6 sentences of the version on the left because I added dialogue and snapshots to bring the scene to life. It's amazing how quickly your papers can fill up when you go about it using these tools. As a peer reviewer in the workshop, your job is not to edit your peers' papers, but instead to look at the paper globally. That means helping your peer develop and streamline their papers. Don't worry about misplaced commas and formatting. That should be the very last thing a writer tackles. And worrying about editing too much too early can make it harder to make necessary changes later. Good luck, and don't forget to contact me if you have any questions. Happy revising!